How in the hell is everybody doing tonight? Man Cave Sports here on Thursday night. I believe April 10th is the day, and we're just winding down the NBA season. Back here with another edition of Hungry Like the Wolves, our flagship Timberwolves weekly cast. And we find the Timberwolves down to their last three games playing here within the hour or in about an hour against the Memphis Grizzlies in Memphis. Game that has significant ramifications for both teams. And the landscape in the West is just batshit crazy right now, for lack of a better term. Not much separating 4 through 8, and you're starting to see the play-in teams at the tail end. Sac and Dallas, I think, have both clinched spots there. They're not going to get out of the 9 and 10. Whichever team hosts the home game is yet to be determined over these last few games. But and OKC and Houston have 1 and 2 locked up. So the battle for 3 to 8 is going to be a nightly chaotic scene. Tonight's game between the Wolves and the Grizzlies actually has huge impact in the West, but I think it's the only game tonight that's of real significance in that. And there's a couple of Eastern Conference games going on right now that have playoff implications. But we're just going to get this out of the way because, as some of you know, Brian and I made the trek to Milwaukee on Tuesday to go see our beloved Timberwolves play the Milwaukee Bucks in a game that the Wolves were dominating a good portion of the game, got up by 20. I think they were up by 20 going into the fourth. Maybe the lead was even up to 24, I believe. 24 with 10 minutes left, and saw a Milwaukee Bucks 23-0 run. Saw a fourth quarter where the Wolves got dominated 40-13. And unfortunately, I have been to a lot of sporting events. I've seen the Vikings choke a 20-0 halftime lead. I saw the Wolves 3 years ago lose a game to Memphis. I believe it was game 3 where they had a 26-point lead. But I got to tell you, this might have been the worst collapse or the worst Minnesota sporting event I ever attended, just because of the magnitude of it, what I saw happen before me, etc. And I mean, I don't want to talk too long about it. I don't want to point fingers at particular players, Julius Randle, any coaches, Chris Finch. Naz and Dante, thank you for showing up. Dante pretty much put us in a comfortable position, but nonetheless, it was crazy. Outside of the game, Brian and I had a good time. Milwaukee was good to us. Food was good. The drinks were decent. And I will say this, and I'll end this and be done talking about Milwaukee, because hopefully if they can beat the Grizzlies tonight, it'll make it a lot easier. The fans in Milwaukee were first class, and they were not rubbing it in, which I'm pretty sure if I was on the opposite end, I can't say that I won. And I'll turn it over to Brian and say that he was making friends with the Bobby Portis mark next to us, and it came back to bite us, Brian. Your thoughts on Milwaukee?
Well, it was phenomenal. I mean, we were by far the best team on the court, and we were kind of a little bit uber confident just how things were going. But let's be honest, they were not really. They were sleepwalking through that game, even when we were up by 24. And man, this is hard for me to rehash. But a man's got to take accountability from what he's been through, and I'm gonna have to just get through this. I was talking a little shit to that guy. Bobby ain't coming to save you. Hey, work him, Bobby. And I'm like, are you kidding me? But when Bobby Portis hit that 3 with about 9 minutes left, and we're on the road and we're not at the Target Center, and the whole crowd goes, Bobby, Bobby. I looked at, and we were only down 21 at this time. Mike and I looked at each other and went, it I'm still not over it. I'm still dealing with the trauma, but yeah, it was the worst being in another stadium's with my team event I've ever had. And you know what? Before Mr. Steve goes on my Finchy took good timeouts. I mean, it wasn't him. I mean, he was as flabbergasted as everybody. It's Doc Rivers is not like the defensive guru. He's not, but that zone defense, I think that was on the players, and I think they thought they were just going to cakewalk through that, and they didn't, and I had to watch it.
All right, gentlemen, we have a
Can,
lot to cover, so I am going to
can
give
can I get
Mr.
a quick question though, Mike,
Yeah,
for you guys? I mean, first off, kudos to both of you guys for making the trek representing Man Cave Sports out in Milwaukee. So thanks for doing that. But secondly, Target Center is known to be a really kind of archaic, old arena. What were your takes on the arena out there? What was that like? I've never gotten to watch another NBA game in another arena.
Five Serve's a cool stadium. It's well constructed. The seats are good. I didn't even get to tell you about the seating. Well, you guys saw the text, the seating fiasco. We actually had some seats in the lower level that, for whatever reason, weren't transferring. So, like 15 minutes before the game, we didn't even have a legit tickets. I kept dealing with SeatGeek, but I was able to secure us. I believe we were in 203 row one. So I mean, and we got them under face value. I think we paid $90 for the set. So to me, it worked out well. I don't care. We would have been fine sitting down there or up there. We actually ended up saving some money, but the atmosphere was cool. I will say this, the crowd, maybe because of the way the game was going, wasn't as lively. But man, when they started going on that run in the fourth quarter, and it was ironic at the end of the third, I'd say at least five, if not close to 10% of the crowd started leaving. But the
Mhm.
95% that stuck around, and there was some Wolves fans, but it wasn't, we didn't have a huge representation. But man, I'll give that crowd credit because as they started coming back, they woke up. It's a nice arena. The seats were good. I mean, obviously, architecturally and aesthetically, it's better than what we have here in Minneapolis. But I think it was a good fan experience. And like I said, been to opposing teams venues for baseball, football, basketball now. I will say the people in Milwaukee were good. And I've been to Lambeau 4 times, and the people in Green Bay treat you well too. So I will give, as much as we despise Wisconsin sports and Wisconsin fans, I will say they are always first class when it comes to treating opposing teams' fans. Steve, just a real quick Cliff Notes version of your take on the game.
Oh, don't do it.
Yeah, just a couple quick notes. I tried to be succinct here. Julius Randle, 5 turnovers, minus 16, two of them just complete dog crap in the fourth down the stretch. Mike Conley, minus 22, had 28 minutes, which is the same amount of minutes of Dante DiVincenzo, who was a +7. Conley needs to be on the bench. We need right now. I want Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo starting. Sticky Fingers and Conley need to be sitting down and coming off the bench. Sticky Fingers will one game and be like, "Oh my God, he's amazing! Look at him play!" And then he goes and shoots the bed like this. He's no, and this has been a thing that's been coming because they barely, they barely got past the Nets. They kind of, or the Sixers rather, they slept walk. No, and I'm sorry, Finch, when your team is getting just drilled in the face that fast in the fourth quarter, and you call timeout and nothing changes, it's getting worse. They're making worse decisions. Why you're not going to a different substitutions? I don't care. Throw anybody in. Make a point. Throw in. I go throw in Garza, Minot, and everybody and their brother. I'd be like, get these guys off the court. You guys are crap. You're playing like crap. You can't figure out how to break a zone. What is this, sixth grade basketball? Come on now. I don't give a shit. You guys need to figure it out. You're professionals. Professionals. You have the same record at home as you do away because you can beat anybody and you can lose to anybody, which tells me that Finchy is not as great a coach as you want it to be because his team hasn't changed all season. It's been the same crap time after time after time. When we had all of our injuries, guess what happened? We played a bunch of rookies and stuff, and we beat the number one team in the West twice without Sticky Fingers. So I tell you what, Finch, good coach, not great coach. Sticky Fingers, good player, not great player. Bench him, bench Conley. I want to see Naz and DiVincenzo for the playoff run. Oh, and he's an ass. An ass.
Okay. I think we got the point, Steve. Ramon.
Well,
Quickly,
I
let's
think,
let's just
yeah,
get
I'll make it
this
quick.
Milwaukee Bucks game.
I'll make it quick. I often try to take a measured approach, right? It's the modern NBA. a 20-point lead can evaporate in minutes. Even championship teams blow monster leads. It happens. Happens to the best. Every great team will have an occasional stinker where they lose to an injury depleted team or lose to a bad team because they take a night off, long road trip or whatever. But it's the exception. With this team, it is the rule. And I have been very patient. I've been hoping that things would change. I think we each had times throughout the season where we thought they figured something out, and they haven't. It's the same shit over and over and over again, where they go on a great run and then they fall asleep. And again, it happens to all the teams, all the best, but this just happens far too frequently to consider them one of the best. And I don't know if it's the leadership of the team on the court. I think there's responsibility there. Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, even. He's been on the team for 3 years now. And I think some of it's got to fall on Finch too, because he's been the coach for, two of the past 3 seasons. This has been a problem. 2 years ago, it happened a lot. This year, it's happened a lot. Last year, they seemed to kind of resolve it. I don't know whose fault it is, but for this to happen as frequently as it does, a lot has to go wrong, and it's a lot of people are responsible. I'll leave it at that.
All right. I think I'm going to go to some of the association stuff real quick. I'll just throw some questions towards you guys so we can keep this brief. But I will first, ironically, I think you broke the news, Razor, because I think some of the outlets, and I don't know who your source was, but it's impeccable, much better than B Naughty's is. But anyways, Michael Malone got canned on Tuesday, which I don't think anybody saw coming.
Oh,
So I'll go back around the horn here, and I'll start with you because you're the one that kind of brought it up to us as Brian and I were on our way to Milwaukee. Michael Malone fired from Denver. What's your take on that, Ramon?
I just an article came out that I didn't get a chance to read about yet, and I'd heard there was some sort of a Cold War going on there, and it sounds like both sides lost in this case, but I don't know all the details of that. Haven't gotten a chance to dig into it, but I just can't help but think like what do people expect? What do owners expect? What do fans expect? Only one team wins every season. There's only one champion. The
Yeah.
Denver Nuggets won the title 2 years ago, their first ever. Last year, they played in an epic 7-game series against our favorite team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and were this close to getting to the conference finals again. Now they're in the heat. They're in the thick of the hunt for the 3 through 6
Yeah, they were in
spot.
the fourth seed on
Yeah,
Tuesday.
yeah, and they've had a lot of injuries. They haven't done the best job of kind of like filling gaps in their bench. So how can you fire a guy that's accomplished that much? I just I can't. It doesn't make sense to me. What is the expectation? Who are you going to find better or who's done more for you? And it's not like he committed some crime or did something terrible off the court. So I'm mind boggled. And Taylor Jenkins, same deal, mind boggled. It's like what do they think's going to happen for the rest of the season? Do you think they're really going to turn it around? I mean, good for David Adelman. I know he's been paying his dues for years, but I just what are the expectations? I just don't get it. That's all I got.
All right. Steve, I'm going to switch. We'll keep on the association, but as we talked about in the opening, looks 1 and 2 are locked in, 9 and 10 are locked in. They could flip flop. It looks like the Lakers have a very good opportunity to run away with the three. But 4 through 8, I mean, the game tonight's going to have major ramifications. In fact, last night's game where the Spurs upset Golden State in Golden State had huge implications. So talk a little bit about basically what 4 to 8 look like and where you think the Wolves will end up. And I think a lot of it will be dependent upon tonight's game. I'm going to go grab my charger real quick, gentlemen, while Mr. Steve's answering that question.
You'll have
Yeah.
time.
Hey, when you've got as good a stuff as I have, you got to take time to share it. When you have gold, when you have nuggets like this, people want to hear it. Yeah, if we beat the Grizzlies tonight, we're kind of, it's kind of weird to say we're sitting in the driver's seat, but we do have tiebreakers with the Clippers and the Nuggets. So we're in good shape there. Golden State and Memphis had the tiebreakers over us, and even if we beat Memphis tonight, they still have the season series 2-1. So we are still a little bit sketchy there. So I think if we can take at least two of the next three, potentially, not we don't necessarily have to take all three, but if we take two of the next three, that can get us up into six, potentially even fifth, depending on how these other games bounce out. Like I said, we do have the tiebreaker against the Clippers and the Nuggets, so depending on how they finish out, if we end up with an even record with either of those, we're taking the higher seed. So I'm feeling pretty good about us here. I think the team will bounce back. I think if anything good, anything I can take from my friend B Notty's positivity vibe is that hopefully this was the wake up call that they needed to get serious about the playoffs. I think if we get two, maybe three of our final three here, we should be sitting, I can see us going six, maybe even as high as five, depending on what happens with some of these other games. But I'm feeling pretty positive that we'll get over the hump and we won't have to do the play-in series.
All right, got the big game coming up tonight. Brian, give us your take and or preview for tonight's big matchup with Jaws. Now that Ja got fined for the old air gun, now he's throwing grenades. Like I said on Twitter/X, that grenade he threw the other night actually landed near the Timberwolves bench in Milwaukee. But um, but tell us what you're looking forward to tonight. And me, I'm excited about the game just because I still go back to 3 years ago. Razor, you and I were at one of the games together. That series against the Grizzlies was really the start of what you've seen the Timberwolves become over the last few years, in the playoffs and playoff. And he came out that first game, I think scored 38. So, I mean, I do like that Grizzlies matchup.
Well, here's where I'm at with this. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is it. I'm not talking about 3 games. After what just happened, what both you and I witnessed happening, we're going to see what they're about tonight. And that's it. We're not at a crossroads moment in life where we go left, right, forward, or backwards, or stay put. We're going one of two ways tonight, and we will find out. And are they going to take it to heart, or are we going to blow them out tonight? I think that's what I'm looking for, and I'm not worried about any other game than other than tonight. Tonight is where it happens.
All right. All right, Razor, I'm going to go to you. How do you think these next 3 games shake out, and where do you think the Wolves will end up when the smoke settles on Sunday?
It's just I'm copping out here, but this team is just so leaping unpredictable. They're just so hard to predict what they're going to bring. They could win big tonight, win convincingly, and then next game playing against the Brooklyn Nets or the Utah Jazz, they could take a night off. You just don't know with this team. However, I always find a way to drink the Kool-Aid. So I do believe that they are going to win tonight. I do believe they're actually going to win out. Was it Steve? Was it B Naughty who said that they need that maybe this is the wake up call? I do feel like this could be that one. I mean, you don't want. I don't think you want to go into the playoffs on some huge winning streak, right? I think you want to have been humbled somewhere along the
Yeah.
way, just to kind of keep that edge. And the Wolves seem to have that edge when they're playing good teams or like the game. Well, that Milwaukee game really mattered, but I think you guys know what I'm saying. But I do think they're gonna win out. I don't know what's if they win out. Is there like a guaranteed spot that they're going
I
to get,
believe
or
they're
worst case
guaranteed.
scenario?
I think they're more than likely guaranteed a 6. They're still in the running for a 4, mind you, but they're going to need
Okay,
some help. But I mean, it's not that crazy, and
right.
especially because a lot of these teams are still playing each other with something to play for. So the big thing is they obviously need to win tonight. If they lose tonight, man, all bets are off, and I mean they might be sitting in that 7 or 8, and they might be lucky to get out of the 8. Which leads me. Are you good then, Razor?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that leads me to my next question, Mr. Steve. We know the matchups and we know the potential matchups here. Obviously, they could play anybody, you know, a lot of different teams they could play. They could be forced into playing. What are the tops? You look at the top seeds. Let's just look at the OKC. Houston. LA is probably going to be there at 3. Right now, the Clippers are at 4, but that could change. Out of those top 3 teams, and there's a decent probability that the Wolves might have to play one of them. Who don't you want to see out of OKC, Houston, and LA?
Um, yeah, the OKC I'm not worried about because we if Finch throws their speedy rookies out there, we'll tire them out. But Houston, I don't like playing Houston. I've said this multiple times because of Sengun. He can eat Rudy for lunch and he doesn't get tired. That kid always keeps running. But then you got LA with the Wolves killer Luca, which I'm not a fan of either. But I wouldn't mind playing LA just to be able to put that to bed and crushing it and get rid of the Wolves killer Luca image out of there. But yeah, the one that worries me really is Houston because Dylan Brooks, Ant's going to come out firing against him, but at the same time, he could get Ant, into technical trouble, and you get Ant all worked up and whatnot, and we can end up with some problems. And I'd rather take OKC or LA personally on if we get it all, depending on where the seating lands out. Houston, I don't think the edge is enough there for us to beat Houston. I think LA and OKC we could do okay. We'd be able to handle.
Okay. Brian, God forbid they end up in the play-in here. Who do we not want to play in the play-in? And it's on the opposite end of the spectrum. It could be, we'll take Sacramento and Dallas out of the equation for now because we won't be playing either of them. We're guaranteed no worse than an 8. But out of the Clippers, Golden State, Denver, who don't we want to see, especially in that first game of the play-in? God forbid we get in there.
One word, the clip show. I know that's 2. But yeah, Kawhi's back and the claw is as Steve does. Yeah, he's back. He's back. That's the one I don't want to. Yeah, I'll then I wouldn't want to deal with Golden State second. The one I'd want, give me Denver, dude. It's a shit show there. So let's go. Those guys don't scare me, but just really. Thank you.
What is that?
The thing I don't. The thing I don't want to deal with in the playoff, because I got to pick on Mr. Steve.
You done pissed him off, man. He might bite you.
The last team I want to see is the Lakers. We got the commissioner, the refs, the media, and Luca to deal with. I'm not worried about LaBizzle, dude. Screw that guy. That's the team I don't want to see.
All right.
Is your tin hat firmly in place there? You got the commissioner, the refs, everybody else.
Yeah, they're all against us.
They want Bronny and Daddy to get a championship together. Is that what it is? The fix is in.
It could be. It could be. I mean, hear it out.
All right. Tinfoil hats unite. So I will close here. I will go to just any final thoughts before we watch the game tonight. I'll start with you, Razor.
I think I'm just going to repeat myself. This team is just so unpredictable. I wish they weren't kind of backed into this corner that they're in right now. But the good news is that they can still, sounds like if they can control their own destiny, and if they go 3-0, not entirely, but if they go 3-0, it sounds like the 6th seed is very much, I mean, maybe not likely, but very possible.
Yeah.
And I just want to throw one thing in here. I'm actually not too concerned about playing Houston.
Me neither.
Not at all.
I'll be honest. Sorry, Steve. But I just think they're such a young
doing
team.
His own thing.
Yeah, he's just a young team. They're not very battle tested. I know they have a couple of guys that are battle tested, but that playoff atmosphere, that's a different animal.
Yeah,
okay, some of us were born to lead. Some of us forge our own path.
Mr. Steve, final thoughts.
As angry as I was watching the Milwaukee game, I am really excited for the postseason. Ant's going to come out and fire it up. I hope Rudy keeps going. He was on a tear beforehand, right? Like that was like all-star level DPOY Rudy. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I'm looking forward to hanging out in the man cave and catching a bunch of these games, and having a good time enjoying it. So as irritated and as angry as I can get, I'm going to finish with some positivity. Let's go Wolves. We're going to enjoy the rest of the season. We're going to enjoy the playoff run. And then next year, I'm really going to enjoy head coach Micah Nori.
Oh, don't you mean Michael Malone?
No, Micah Nori. We got him on the bench. That guy's a superstar.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm just going to enjoy the season. So be naughty. Final thoughts.
We got to win tonight. That's it. I don't care about the 3 games after what we witnessed on Tuesday. My final thoughts are tonight is do or die.
Ooh.
All right, I agree. I'm looking forward to it. We're tipping off here in 27 minutes, so I am going to let you guys go and get this episode up and ready. So those of you that are huge fans, all 13, 14 of you, be sure to watch us at halftime. You'll probably have to watch watch it in 2 pieces. Watch, 15 minutes at halftime, watch 15 minutes afterwards and say, they were right about this, that, everything in between. All right, gentlemen, that wraps up this week's edition of Hungry Like the Wolves. Go Wolves. Let's get to it. Let's go watch this thing. Later, guys.